What's up, guys? It's Marieta. Welcome to my live Q&A. Today I'm going to talk about how to study in the US. And this is actually a question I received from you guys that you posted on YouTube below the YouTube video. So I'm going to talk about how you can study in the US, how you can get student visa, how can you actually apply for Ivy League school, and I also have a video coming up on this topic, so definitely stay tuned. So how can you actually study in the US? First of all, if you want to study in the US, you need a student visa. And there are either F1 or J1 student visa. Normally, if you want to be enrolled in school, they will issue I-20 form, and with this I-20 form, you will then be able to apply for F1 student visa. Okay, so that's one thing. You need to be enrolled. If you are not enrolled in the school that is issuing I-20 form, you won't be able to actually study in the US. Now, in order to be admitted in the US, either it's a college, university, or even ESL school. By the way, what is ESL school? ESL school is English as a second language school. So if you are not fluent in English and you want to improve your English speaking skills or writing skills, you enroll in ESL class. And there are so many different ESL schools around the US that are actually issuing I-20 form. Therefore, be careful, because some of these schools, and this is actually my personal experience and also things that I heard, even if you pay these schools, some of them are just scams. They will not provide good quality education, especially if you really want to learn how to improve your English. So make sure that you are picking the right school. If you need any help, you can totally post a comment below. I'm happy to help with that. So pick a good school if you want to study and improve your English. Okay, so that will be the ESL school. Email them, ask them what are the main requirements if you are overseas. And if you are in the US, obviously you will be changing your status. So when you change your status, it's usually from either B or whatever visa you currently have. Most likely you will have B visa. So you are changing status from B to F1. Now, in order to change the status, again, you will need the form I-20. So either they will send you the form and then you will apply with this I-20 form for student F1 visa, or you will apply if you are in the US for change of status with this form I-20. Now, there is no way you can apply for student visa without this form. Now, how can you get this form? This form you can get only if you basically, if you are enrolled. So each school has different requirements, right? So with this ESL school, it's pretty easy. You have to pay, I think you have to pay like 1 month and you will be enrolled, and they will issue I-20 for you. And they will send you I-20, and with the I-20 you will put together other things like you will fill out the DS-160 online, I-20 form, bank statement showing that you have enough money to pay for your living expenses as well as tuition. Usually this tuition is around maybe $1,000 per month or maybe $500 per month. So 1 month of study English costs you around $500. You have to double check that. So when you show that, you put together this application file, then you will take it to the US Embassy in your home country when you are applying for your student visa. And you shouldn't have any issues getting your student visa, because automatically when they see that you are applying with this I-20 form, that makes sense that, okay, this is a valid school, this person is enrolled, that means that you have enough money, that means that you are going to go to school, you're not gonna just hang out in the US doing something different, right? Like illegal work. So normally this approval rate is pretty high. So that's with ESL classes. Now, if you want to study at different university like grad school or postgrad, that's a different story. So you have to check the requirements of each school where you want to apply. Especially if you want to apply for Ivy League schools, they have requirements. You need to be fluent in actually high proficiency in English. So you have to pass the TOEFL exam, you have to have a pretty high score with TOEFL, and then if, for example, you're going to business school, you have to pass GMAT, or if you're going to law school, you have to pass LSAT. It's a lot of work, and really I recommend seriously to first study English if you want to at some point apply for this university, because that will really help you. And also if you go to the US first and you study English and then you apply for a grad school or postgrad in the US, it's much easier, because basically you're just going to change I-20 form. You don't have to change your status. Once you are on F1, you are good to go. Okay, so basically start slow. First apply for ESL and then apply for a grad school. If you are already proficient in English, you are fluent, you don't need this, that's great. Then you just put together the package, you contact the school admission office, and again the same process. I-20 form, you take the I-20 form, and then you also must show that you have a bank statement showing that you have enough funds to pay for a tuition, and also usually there is like admission letter from the school, from the university, that you take with you. And you don't even have to show like ties to your home country necessarily. Like I was talking about ties, strong ties, especially when you're applying for B visa, you have to show strong ties. With F visa, it's not necessarily, because it makes sense that you are paying for a school. The more expensive school, then it's clear that it's, number one, it's not easy to get to that school. Number two, it's expensive, and when you're paying for Ivy League school or expensive school, it's obvious that you will get your student visa. There's no point not to get your student F1 visa. Now, a question is, if you can work while you are on F1. No, you cannot. I think there are like some exceptions, like you can work on campus like 20 hours or 15 hours if you are on J1 visa, but this is only on campus work and not off campus. So if you are planning to work while you are studying, that is actually illegal. So you have to find a way how you can actually have enough money, support yourself, and study full-time when you are on F1 visa. Another question I received actually today is that how can I prepare for what after I'm done with my school, after graduation, how can I prepare, what kind of visa can I have? When you are in grad school, then you should be able to receive OPT. OPT is optional practical training. This will allow you to actually work in the US for 1 year right after graduation. Now this applies for grad school or postgrad. It doesn't apply to ESL classes. So if you are taking ESL classes, English as a second language, don't expect OPT, okay? It's not gonna happen. You have to be enrolled in grad school, postgrad. Then you should be able to apply for OPT. Also, if you are studying bachelor degree, you should be able to apply for OPT. Otherwise, you have to find a way how you can stay there legally. For example, if you want to start a business, if you are from a third country, you can consider E2 or L visa. I talk a lot about these two visas in my previous videos. Otherwise, you will be able to apply for OPT. Once you are on OPT, it's 1 year long work permission. You will be able to look for employer. And when you find your employer, then your employer can change the status from OPT to H1B. I'm sure you heard about H1B. These are like the typical work visas for people who are educated in the United States. The problem with H1B is that you basically only have, there are a limited number of petitions each year, only 60,000 and additional 20,000 if you are a master degree category. So if you have master degree, you will be in that category. However, the problem is usually more than 80,000 applications are sent out to USCIS, about 230,000 last year. And then there is a lottery and a random selection of the petitions. So even if you send in on time, even if you're an employer, even if you pay the high legal fees and you pay attorney to prepare a petition for you, you still have no guarantee that you will be able to actually get your H1B. So that's kind of tricky. I don't personally like H1B. I always offer E2 visa as a solution if you are an entrepreneur. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. Actually, this was my journey, my personal journey. I started as an ESL student, so I was studying English as a second language 10 years ago. Then I changed to Northwestern University, which was Ivy League school, a law school. After that, I passed the bar, I became an attorney. Guess what? No job. So that was kind of hard, and I realized that, okay, let's be creative. I started my own business, and I got my E2. E2 is the investor visa. So this is really way for someone who is entrepreneur, who is crazy enough to believe in himself, and someone who wants to start business, someone who don't want to work for a big corporation, for anybody in the U.S. Also think about H1B is limited. I think it's 7 years only. Then you have to figure out the way if you want to stay there. For example, you have to either change it to a green card or, again, maybe start a business. So you have to find a way, because it's just temporary solution. So yeah, so that's the path. Definitely, if you have a good English skill, like you have a high TOEFL score, you apply for GMAT, you have a high score with GMAT or LSAT, and you apply for a good school, then you have a higher chances to find employer. However, again, like my situation, like I graduated in Northwestern, and pretty good school, pretty expensive also, and it wasn't guaranteed for me to actually get a job. So think about that. What are your goals? Why do you want to study in the US? What do you want to accomplish in the future? And if because the school system is in the US, especially like I'm coming from Slovakia, it's better than compared to Slovakia. In Slovakia, I had to memorize everything. In the US, it's more practical. They teach you things like how to actually think and how to be creative. So that's great. On the other hand, to be honest, like I had to learn so many things by myself if I wanted to be an entrepreneur and business owner in the US. So it really depends, like what are your long-term goals, like what do you want. Of course, it's a path. Getting F1 visa allows you to stay and live in the US legally for some time. In fact, I know people who are on F1 visa for years. The reason they are there for years because they don't want to be illegal, and they want to. They are basically studying just to be able to keep the legal status. So they're paying this sort of cheap schools, ESL schools for ESL classes. They are not necessarily studying English, but they are keeping their status. So really think about like why do you want to study and what is the main goal. So if you guys have any question, leave them below. I'm happy to answer them for you. And I think I'm gonna probably post the link below where you can get brochure that I put together for people who want to actually study in the who want to be accepted to Ivy League school. So I'm gonna share my experience, like how was that, how was the process for me, what you need to do, and hopefully it will help you. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next live Q&A. Have a great day, everyone.